It's been nearly 2 months since our last video update when we were departing Wilmington, and a lot has happened.
Yeah, and we're down a crew member.
So
this one may have some tears.
we've got a pretty major update, if you haven't already heard. Stay tuned.
Staying on the path that I've chosen, straight up. Come my way and I'll see you at the top. 'Cause something's gonna happen in this story, and I can feel it coming, like the rising of the sun.
Well, when we last left you, we were just preparing to leave Wilmington, North Carolina, where we had spent a glorious month with making amazing new friends, exploring this great town, theater, activities, dining, concerts, nonstop fun.
If you haven't seen the video, go back and watch the last video. We were legitimately excited. That was July 9th, the day we were heading out of Wilmington. And the one thing we didn't really mention in that video, there was a little concern in the back of our minds that our cat Kiki had for that week been not eating as much as she normally does, and that's one of her top hobbies is eating. So we had been on concern. We had bought different foods for her to try, and we'd actually looked out where her Banfield vet options might be going up the coast.
Yeah, but we thought she was fine. She had gone through
phases of not
eating for a while, and nothing was of great concern. So anyway, we left Wilmington, cruised down the Cape Fear River, and got to Carolina Beach to the mooring field there. And her eating wasn't getting any better, and we noticed her belly was looking more swollen.
Yeah, it went from her not eating as much to her not eating at all, and even refusing wet food. And that was kind of like, oh, okay, she's not eating zero. That's not a loss of appetite. So we got kind of really perturbed. We'd just left Wilmington, and we looked ahead. It's like, well, Wrightsville Beach, the next stop. There's a great dinghy dock there. That's actually closer to the vet than where we'd been in Wilmington to Banfield. We'll just make an appointment for the next day to go ashore, get an Uber by dinghy, and make that our plan. So next day, let's do a vet appointment.
So we got up to Wrightsville Beach, set the anchor. It was a very warm day. And then a lot of things conspired. The generator went out.
So the air conditioner cut off.
And we're trying to keep her comfortable and us comfortable because we're all stressed at this point.
Yeah. And then the weather forecast for the next day, the day we were planning to get ashore, take an Uber, and have to dinghy and Uber with a sick cat, the forecast changed to be torrential rains and wind. And that's not going to be fun for taking a cat ashore in a dinghy.
Yeah, and trying to find a pet-friendly Uber. So we looked at the local marinas there in Wrightsville Beach, and we could have gotten into one of them. But then we figured this is probably not going to be a single vet. This just didn't intuitively feel like something we're going to take her to a regular vet, and it's going to be solved with a pill or something, right?
Our top theory was at the time that maybe it was something with her teeth and it was hurting to eat. So if it's a tooth issue, that'd be at least 2 or 3 visits.
But the swollen belly was also very concerning.
And not eating wet food.
So we called Port City Marina back in Wilmington and asked if we returned, can we have a slip? And they said yes. It was about a 4-hour cruise back.
And this was like 5 in the evening by the time we'd made that call and decided, let's double back.
So we arrived just at sunset. Friends of the dock
sunset,
helped us get secured and tied up, and it was so good to have hugs. Thank you, Robert. And then we got her to her vet, and they did an x-ray of her. She had so much fluid buildup that they could not actually see any of the organs, and the vet had a very honest conversation with us and said, if this was my pet, I would be getting her to the ER immediately.
Which we immediately did.
Thankfully, in Wilmington, thanks to our friend Fred there, he had given us access to one of his spare vehicles, which is one reason for coming back to Wilmington. Thank you, Fred. And being able to get her to these appointments and not have to worry about Ubers.
Yeah, so that was like we were gone from Wilmington for 36 hours, and suddenly we're back. And we got to give super credit to Port City Marina. They basically made it as if we had never left and just extended our monthly prorated rate. Super great, wonderful, friendly people in the marina, and they all expressed so much concern for Kiki as well. So great marina, great to have people there, great to have access to a car, great to have access to air conditioning because the heat wave had kicked in. And then we were in the waiting game because they did a whole bunch of tests on Kiki. They kept her overnight at the emergency room and then
Did
sent her home.
ultrasounds,
Yes.
took samples of the fluids and everything else, and it took about a week to get results back. And the vet he gave us the list of the possibilities and said, what we're doing is we're ruling out the treatable stuff and the stuff that is non-invasive to test for.
Yep.
And basically, after a week, it was a very trying week. It was the emotional roller coaster. if you've been through it, you know what it's like.
And trying to get Kiki to eat, finding something she'd eat, then she'd eat it for half a day, and then basically it was just a constant struggle to get food into her, keep her comfortable, and just to figure out what was going on.
And basically, the vet came back with all the tests ruled out, the easily treatable stuff, and anything further to diagnose would, number one, be invasive to diagnose and probably result in
quality of life increase.
No quality of life. If anything was treatable, it would be very intense and probably only give her a couple more months.
Yes.
So we selected palliative care and just accepted that this was going to be the end of her journey with us.
And there was a roller coaster after that because at times it felt like we had just days, and other times she'd go through kind of a bounce back and it'd be like, maybe this will be stabilized. Maybe we'll have a month or two. Maybe we can cruise on. But then it'd be quickly like, nope, we're just going to stay here in Wilmington and be here for her, be here with air conditioning.
And not be worried about navigating and boat issues and things like that, and stay where we had friends and support network, which I think was the best choice. And sure enough, at the
July 29th.
Well, it was the weekend before. I mean, this is just a week after her diagnosis or non-diagnosis that anything was treatable. Her health really had declined, and we had made the decision that when she had gone 48 hours without eating anything at all, that was the time to call in euthanasia. And it was a hard decision when that came up. And
so we'd had a friend who actually works as a vet doing this let us know about in-home basically house call euthanasia, so your pet can cross the rainbow bridge where
at home. And that's what he does. Thank you, David, for calling,
referrals
for reaching out and giving us the assurance that it's better to make the decision a little too soon than too late for the suffering. And all the research I had read was, when she would quit eating, she had about 3 days before her body would start going into liver failure, and we also were noticing her respiratory system was going. We did have the fluids drained from her.
Yeah, we took her back in,
and that gave her several days of happy quality life. And then, but the fluid came back.
And she was happy and comfortable right up until the end, but it was such a tough process.
So, yeah, we used a lap of love. Is the one we reached out to. They called back immediately, set up an appointment. We decided Monday morning. We felt that she was good enough to get overnight with us and have one last night together. And we held her here, right here.
Yeah, right there.
So our Admiral's gone. It's been quite an adjustment. 15 and a half years of traveling with her, all traveling and an amazing companion. But we knew we needed a couple weeks to let the change roll over.
We weren't ready to just cast off, and the marina's like, your space is open as long as you need it. We'll keep extending your prorated monthly rate, and it's just stay whatever you need. And every week we'd just be like, is this the week we're ready to go? Yeah, maybe. No.
And we look at the weather. It's like, okay, it looks like a good week to cruise. Oh, and then Hurricane Debbie, Debbie
Downer, Debbie Downpour.
Yes,
so yeah, we're ready to cruise. No, there's a tropical storm coming, and we had a week of torrential rain. Almost forgot about Debbie Downpour.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So that was one that took up another week. Well, we're kind of starting to feel we might be ready when Debbie hit. And then Debbie hit. I cracked a tooth, so I had to go and get an emergency crown same day, which actually worked out really well.
Yeah.
And then the week after that, we
just weren't emotionally ready.
We were still emotionally ready, and going through a tropical storm. Thankfully, it was just an annoyance with the rain, but it brings back so much trauma for us from Irma and Ian and all the other ones we've been through that it took an emotional toll. And it's like, no, we're not ready. And we waited another week, and it was August 20th when we finally felt right to leave. And we did.
Yeah, and that is one of the things, our style of travel that we really love is that we're not driven by a schedule. We're not like, oh, we have to go someplace and be someplace. And just like when circumstance, whether weather or health or anything or something good calls you to stay in a place, you've got the flexibility. We try to have the flexibility to do it, and we're so grateful that, the second month in Wilmington wasn't the same kind of excited energy as the first month, but it was a great place just to be for all of that. And we had people around us.
And it felt the most like home to go through such a big experience. So I'm very, very thankful that Kiki chose this time and this place, and we were able to make it work. August 20th we left. We cruised back down the Cape Fear River. We have gotten really good at the Cape Fear River. It is nothing to fear. It's pretty nice, and pretty cruise.
It was very emotional to leave because I'd never driven the boat. Period. Not even like across the marina.
You've never driven the boat
without the Admiral aboard, without Kiki aboard, and so like pulling away from Wilmington. Okay, we just cast off from Port City Marina. This is my first time ever captaining Why Not without the Admiral on board, which is bringing up feelings. This is tough. Wilmington. It was just like from the moment we had bought the boat until then, she's always been the Admiral, and so it took us some deep breaths and just getting back into the groove of cruising. But we went to Carolina Beach, and
I got a mooring ball there, and then we've been long time online stalking each other with the sail bums. They're a sailing couple that does trop rock performances. They write their own music and they do some covers, and they have been performing in Carolina Beach for the last couple months. So they were anchored there. We took a mooring ball and had 2 fabulous evenings hanging out, getting to know Allie and Galen. Amazing people. If you catch them up and down the coast as they're performing,
definitely check them out. They have such incredible energy and enthusiasm, and they are really doing the sail bum lifestyle. They really embody it in an extreme way, and they have a cat on board too, so we got a little bit of a cat time too.
So we had a great time. It was really good to connect with fellow nomadic travelers, making it work. And then we went up to Wrightsville Beach, which was just like a hour and a half.
Same place we had anchored when we decided to bail. This time we're like, no, we're going to stop here, and went ashore, walked the beach. Yeah, it's actually a beautiful beach there.
Really great walk on the beach at sunset. We had dinner at, was it Tower 7? Tower 7?
Grill, great Mexican food. We've had that recommended by a lot of cruisers. This big anchorage at Wrightsville Beach is super popular as a stopover because there's a great ocean access or ICW access, and big anchorage and great Mexican food. So
and they got a Freetown dinghy dock right there, so it makes it super simple to get ashore and explore. There's not a lot to explore there, but it's good for an evening and a good stopover, because the next stop up to Swansboro, there's really not a lot of options for anchoring on the way. There's a couple of kind of bailout spots, but you can't get ashore because there's like a marine base and they'll shoot you if you go ashore.
So the next cruising segment heading north is, we went from Wrightsville Beach to Swansboro, and 48.8 nautical miles, and a large part of that is going through Camp Lejeune, the marine base, where they actually have signs on the side of the waterway saying, danger, flashing lights, live fire may be present here. We actually called ahead to the range control officer to confirm they're not going to be shooting things at us. Or they sometimes shut down the ICW for an hour or a day or so. So you have to call ahead. And this is also where the notorious Onslow Bridge is. There's
a lot of construction. They're building a new bridge there, and up and down. They're having to close it for extended periods of time. So there's some days where there's not openings during the day. Some days there are. But when we went through, they were opening basically on request on the hour. So we just had to timed
it right, and
got there 5 minutes before.
And the bridge, this is like the slowest opening drawbridge on the entire East Coast. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes just to swing open and then swing back shut. So we made it through the Onslow Bridge, made it through Camp Lejeune, didn't get blown up, and got to the really adorably cute town of Swansboro as the next little stop.
We had a couple followers had reached out in advance and said, hey, I'm in Swansboro. When you get here, maybe we can arrange a meetup. So we always love when we get to new town and have people to hang out with, because people are what make the experiences of places.
And that really magnifies these cool little coastal towns are always so much more fun seen through the lens of a local who could tell us things.
And we're passionate about where they live. So we set the hook over in the spoils.
This was a recommendation of Dave and Stacy from our Adventures on Stinkpot. They said this was their favorite anchorage. Only boats that can basically less than 4 foot draft can get into there because it's shallow water getting over a bar, but then a beautiful anchorage with a bit of a long dinghy ride to Swansboro, but not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah,
it was
not
it
bad.
was within my tolerance zone for riding a dinghy.
Without getting too wet with the waves and stuff, because this was over a weekend. But then we get to Swansboro, and as soon as we step ashore,
And they have a great town dinghy dock, another great free dock. Makes it so super easy for us cruisers to go enjoy these towns. So thank you, towns that do this. We texted one of we've been corresponding with Jamie Moncrief, who's been a longtime follower, and he basically met us at the dock. He had just gotten off work and met us at the dock and just took us for the nickel tour of Swansboro. It's about 4 blocks.
and he's basically feels like he's the mayor or something, because he knows everybody in the story of every place, and took us out to a restaurant that he actually used to manage the kitchen of, and we had amazing food and even more amazing conversation, and just got to really.
Yeah, and then, we just had a great time hanging out. And then he invited us over to dinner at his place the next evening to meet his companion and learn more of their amazing story. And it was just such a delightful visit to Swansboro. And Swansboro itself is really cute. They put a lot of effort into revitalizing the town, bringing back in some energy on the weekends, keeping the restaurants open, bringing in live music. So had a really great vibe.
Yeah, so we went saw some live music on Friday night, saw some others. Then on Sunday night, they have the Swan Fest, where they have a outdoor town stage, and saw more live music then.
Yeah, but really the highlight
Was
Jamie and Colleen. Great to meet you both. So blessed to have crossed paths and get to connect, and we look forward to
such
seeing you guys.
amazing food.
Oh yeah, so much good food and so much laughter. It was just so fabulous. And then we did 3 nights in Swansboro, and then we puttered up about another 3 hours across the, what was that sound? Bogue Sound?
Bogue Sound
Yeah.
to Beaufort, which has been a kind of a boating mecca since the 1600s, because it's where the Gulf Stream swings in close to the Carolinas, and it's the jumping off point for a lot of sailors as they go to do the multi-night crossing to the Bahamas, as the jumping off point to the Caribbean for sailors, and it's, I guess, a major stop on the migration of cruisers north and south. But we were there in the non-migration season.
Yeah, so they got the town of Beaufort on the waterfront there, and there's Carrot Island across the way where there's wild horses, and there's this huge anchorage, and you look at some of the pictures during peak season, there's 100 boats.
Yeah,
I might be exaggerating, I might not be, anchored there. There were only 3 the night we were there.
Yeah, no, we kind of expected we'd have to go to the auxiliary anchorage around backside, and we were told it's less bouncy and more protected, and the anchorage on the north side of the island was actually overfull with empty mooring balls, and would have been a very uncomfortable place to tight place to anchor. So we went around to the side we thought was going to be super crowded, had it to ourselves.
Well, 2 other boats.
2 other. Basically, we had it to ourselves.
But yeah, then you get this great view of downtown. There's 2 free dinghy docks to get ashore. Again, thank you, free dinghy docks. And so we got to go explore. And Beaufort's kind of like Swansboro times 4 as far as
a bigger stretch of coastal restaurants and shops.
Yeah, exactly. And ice cream shops. It's pretty much, there's a formula for these coastal towns. There's tourist shops where you can buy all sorts of trinkets. You can go to a plethora of different fish grill places. We did find Mexican.
Yeah, we had some.
Usually somewhere with live music.
And we found places with gluten-free pizza too.
Yeah.
So,
and then we got a run in there, so great shaded streets for running.
Beautiful old historic homes, and it's a beautiful town. It's definitely, I can see why it's a regular stop, and I can see us stopping again if we're ever cruising back and forth. But we were there on a Monday night, which was not the most hopping night. We were tempted to stay. We thought we'd actually be staying longer, but then we're like,
Well, our Labor Day weekend was coming up next, which we are now coming off the tail end of. And we decided we wanted to do the side trip up to New Bern and spend Labor Day weekend there. And we called the marina and got a reservation for a week. Their weekly rate is just spectacularly cheap.
Very cheap weekly rate.
So we made the reservation for Labor Day weekend up there. And then we looked at the cruising to get up the Neuse River. And from Beaufort, it's about 6 hours of cruising, which is doable, of course, in a day. But was a nice anchorage at the...
on Adams Creek, the creek that connects Beaufort, there's a canal and then a creek that goes across and into the Pamlico Sound. So there's an anchorage part way up there that's still nice and protected. The one we picked was the Cedar Creek anchorage along Adams Creek.
Nice, beautiful overnight, tranquil, a little muddy bringing up the anchor. And then, yeah, we just got an early morning stop because if it gets windy, the Neuse is really heavily influenced by winds. It's pretty shallow as far as big rivers go.
The Neuse in the cruising guide said is like it has the potential to be one of the two most sporty spots along the ICW as you cruise. So we're like, we do this in a nice early morning with a calm weather window. And indeed, we got up here. It was just a little bouncy on coming up the river to New Bern. Had a beautiful cruise up here.
Got docked. Amazing crew here at the marina. Had some more fans. And then, yeah, we've just been...
it's been a week here in New Bern.
And New Bern is kind of like Beaufort times 2 or 3 as far as blocks. And
it's a big historic town. It's a bigger one. It's not a full city like Wilmington, but it's a good size, small city, I guess, that... What's unique about it was that it was captured by the Union at the very beginning of the Civil War without a lot of fighting.
Or damage.
So the historic areas are all of these beautiful houses and things that have been around since the 1700s. So it's very well preserved historic town, which is kind of rare in the South.
But some great restaurants. We actually Thai, Indian, and sushi in town, which we have been craving and being quite missing. So we got our fix with some of those our favorite cuisines. Cute little shops in town. There's a civic theater here. We went to a Shakespeare showing of Twelfth Night. There's the Tryon Palace, which we haven't done yet. Maybe we'll get that done today.
Because we were supposed to be leaving today. This is Wednesday, but now the weather forecast on the news is small craft advisory for the past 2 days. So we're waiting until tomorrow, Thursday, and hopefully the weather will be looking better so we can cruise down without it. Because we're pleasure boaters. We don't want to bash our way down to Oriental, but that's kind of where we're heading next.
Yep. So we'll wait it out because, we'll make sure it's pleasant. And then, we're still making our way up into the Chesapeake, of course, with the delay with Kiki and T.S. Debbie and everything else, the extra month basically in there. We're probably not going to be able to cruise the Chesapeake as much as we were intending this season. So we'll probably just get into the southern Chesapeake, Norfolk, Virginia Beach area and cruise around those areas.
Maybe cruise up to Richmond. We're thinking Washington, and before we even get to the Chesapeake.
We'll see.
There's swamps on the radar.
I figure it'll be forever until we get back down this way. So we're going to enjoy as many of these cities as we can on the way. And then... get up into the Chesapeake and figure out what we're doing with Why Not for the winter before we return to RV life. And get back here in springtime and resume. And next spring, we'll cruise the Chesapeake.
So I know this is not maybe the most happy and exciting update. We've got losing our Admiral and tropical storms, but there's also
it's real life.
It's real life, and there's been also some really, really great times and good. It's been good to be back on the water and getting back into motion again too. So.
The people, thank you.
And awesome.
Thank you for being part of our story and being part of our experience and being there for us. It's been...
so many people reached out when we shared on socials about Kiki being sick. We got overwhelmed with the outreach of support. So
thank you for
you, all of you who are following along other than just here on YouTube. So many great people reached out, and
So that's the update, and we'll be back with more and see where we end up.
Yeah, and hopefully we can start cruising again tomorrow. Take care. Bye.
We create these videos just for fun, and we love having you along for the ride. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, or if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. See you next time.